Blog Talk Radio.
Here we go with the main event of the evening. Ladies and gentlemen in attendance, moms and dads joining us around the world. It's time for the mouth you've all been waiting for. Finally, it is showtime.
Here, man, we dedicate our lives to this sport. We do thousands of sit-ups in camp. We run hundreds of miles, for the ones that take it serious. And we just dedicate ourselves fully to our craft, man. We watch tape, we have attitude, we rooting, and we go into that fight to lay it on the line.
College football fans, the College Ball Show returns. I am your host, Chris Carlson. It is late as hell. I'm not even going to front. It's 2:47 a.m. in the morning, and I'm doing a College Ball Show. Other things I do in my life, one of them is work at a bar. I worked much later than I thought I was going to, so therefore it got a little messed up. My co-host is not able to join me this week once again next week, for all the recap and the variety of other shows that we have coming up. Definitely be back. It's just, life gets in the way sometimes. So here I am in the wee hours of morning trying to give you guys some content, okay? So I apologize. Anyway, like I said, the College Ball Show returns. If this is your first time listening to the College Ball Show, welcome. I'm sure you're not listening at this moment, but on archive, championships heading our way. Okay, we're coming off Rivalry Week. We'll definitely have some. I'll have some takeaways from Rivalry Week. Ohio State showed up finally on defense. What the hell was that? I got a handful of Michigan fans that were just crushed from that defeat, man. Wow, that was rough. Anyway, so I'll start the show with a little bit of Rivalry Week takeaways. Like I said, recap a little bit here and there. Got to look forward to this weekend, though. Whole lot of matchups. The couple of marquee matchups really that stand out, obviously, number 1 Bama, number 1 Alabama versus number 4 Georgia. And then number 5 Oklahoma versus number 14 Texas. Those are the marquee matchups. Now we do have a couple of games flying under the radar, hardcore fan wise, from the hardcore barn burner perspective. Number 22 Boise State against number 25 Fresno State. That's a rematch from a couple of weeks ago. Ton at stake for number 11 Washington and number 17 Utah as far as on the national scene, but hey, they're still going to play, and it still means a lot to them. And then, of course, number 6 Ohio State versus number 21 Northwestern. Could Ohio State be hung over from such a display of dominance last week? We'll see. But anyway, as far as last week goes, wow, did we have a high-scoring game? My goodness, we had several of them, obviously. And, there is a difference of high-scoring games, a difference between a Big 12 type shootout where you're like texting somebody, that was crazy, oh my God, you look up 2 plays later, the other team's scoring and they got the lead back. So all that celebration, all that happiness that you see on the field and on the sidelines, within like a couple of plays, that's all gone, and now you just got to go back on offense. It's unbelievable. But my point is, we had that highest scoring football game ever, or at least in the FBS, between Texas A&M and LSU. Took 7 overtimes to decide a winner. I do remember that other 7 overtime game. Like I said, it became the highest scoring game ever in FBS history. Keller Mond for A&M's. Holy for A&M for A&M's. I said for the Aggies, for the A&Mers. He threw 6 touchdowns, ran another in that 74-72 thriller. Joe Burrow, the dude who transferred from Ohio State, is playing quarterback for LSU. He put up some big numbers too. Threw for 3 touchdowns, and if you follow him in the LSU offense, 3 touchdowns is a lot to throw for them. That's for sure. And then he also had 29 carries for 100 yards and added 3 touchdowns in the defeat. So crazy, crazy, crazy game. And like I said, it was more dramatic than sometimes the Big 12 game. Now, the Big 12, these games that are shootouts we've seen all year, they're fun to watch. Don't get me wrong. Especially if you're in like a group setting or you're hanging with your buddy and you're watching another game or you're shooting the shit and you go, oh my God, they scored again. Holy crap, look at this, If you're watching it, it does get a little like, really, dude, is anybody going to tackle somebody? Can somebody tackle somebody? Anybody? Anyone out there? Can they tackle? It does get a little like, wow, that was too easy, man. Like, how about play some defense? Whereas when you see, like I said, 74-72 lining up, you're going to score a lot when you line up at the 25. You know what I mean? So it just feels different. And obviously it's got a touch of the sudden death. It's not necessarily sudden death, but it kind of plays out that way. But anyway, that was a great game. That was crazy. I still kind of shocked on that one. Speaking of Oklahoma in the Big 12, of course, they had a huge shootout. Oklahoma survived a late charge from West Virginia. I almost forgot who I was talking about. 59-56, man. That was a crazy game, but one of those games where you're like, dude, can we play defense? Kyle Murray went off. He actually leads the entire country in QBR rating. And, I suppose QBR is QB rating, isn't it? In yards per attempt, by the way. He accounted for 4 touchdowns and a total of 480 yards overall. And, I mean, don't get me wrong. The West Virginia QB there, he had Greer. He had 4 touchdowns for 539. 539 freaking yards in the air, and you lost. Unbelievable. Anyway, little upset here. Washington beat Washington State. Washington just finds a way to be like the big bully, like the big brother, bullying the interstate rival. That's what happened, 28-15. Still a competitive game, but it was pretty clean win there at the end. It was nice and snowy too. That was pretty dope. That was pretty crazy. I like that. I like watching that. Notre Dame had a tougher task than what looked to be on paper an easy game for them against USC. Pretty much a rivalry game if you look at it. Maybe it doesn't date back to 1917 or whatever, but still pretty long rivalry since the 90s anyway. 24-17 was the final there. What else kind of stood out? Not a whole lot else. Oh, Boise State has got a big game rematch coming up against Fresno State. As I mentioned, they beat Utah State, who had been hot as well, 33-24. Somehow Miami beat Pittsburgh 24-3. Vegas was right when it came to that. I was wrong. And then what the hell happened in that Ohio State Michigan game? I mean, wow. What the hell happened? Dwayne Haskins happened. His Buckeyes offense just went nuts in the Big Ten finale. Unbelievable. And it was versus one of the best defenses in the nation. And stat-wise, I believe it was number 1. Haskins threw for 5 touchdowns. The Buckeyes just destroyed Michigan 62-39. And by the way, Haskins, on his way to destroying Michigan, and a lot of defenses this year. He set the record for not only passing touchdowns but passing yards as well for Big Ten all-time passing. Many people, but of course Drew Brees being the key one. It's got to be one of him and Barrett have had some seasons that are pretty crazy. Obviously Haskins even have a better season, but it's got to be like one of the most low-profile. We're talking about Drew Brees here. It's just crazy, man. It's totally crazy. A stat that kind of stands out for Notre Dame, even though they don't have any more games until whenever they play, I suppose you could say, because they're not like a shoo-in. It feels like they're a shoo-in, but you never know. Their offense, as we know, has drastically improved throughout the regular season. Ian Book has been, a really difference maker for them. But the defense has come a long way from the last couple of years. The last, or 8 times this year, not the last 8, but 8 times this year, they held their opponents to under or 17 points and under, which in college football, that's telling you something, if you're being honest with yourself. And then, of course, up here in Minnesota, the Minnesota Golden Gophers got their first victory over the Wisconsin Badgers in 15 freaking years. 2003, I remember where I was. And I also remember where I was the last time, and this goes back to 1994, the last time the Gophers, my Golden Gophers, won in Camp Randall. 1994. I remember who I was with. I kind of remember the game, but I remember it. Like, wow, we won in Camp Randall. By the way, that is the longest rivalry in college football. It dates back to 1890. And now this, last year, the Badgers moved up. It was the first time the Badgers ever had the lead in this rivalry going back to 1890. Well, we took care of that. The series is now tied at 60, 60, and 8. That's right, 8 freaking draws. That's crazy, 8 different ties, but not really, because back in the day, you kind of did tie a lot. So, yeah, man, that was pretty crazy. Variety of other things happened, no doubt, but like I said, it's almost 3 in the morning, so I'm going to get to the point. Let's get to frickin' rivalry week. Well, wait. See, I'm totally out of my mind right now. Rivalry week was last week. Let's get to the conference final week. Championship. Conference championships. A lot at stake, obviously, right? The 2 standout marquee matchups, like I said, they are in the SEC and the Big 12. But there is a variety of meaningful, games. Plenty of meaningful games flying under the radar. And, for all those games that got canceled, you're now seeing a lot of those on the schedule. And some of it is like, hey, dude, we got to get to a bowl. We got to get our 6th win. You know what I mean? Like, why not? Let's just do it. So that's kind of weird. Anyway, number 1 Alabama versus number 4, and you know what? I just saw something, and it said 14. God dang it! Oh, sorry. I'm all over the place. I was talking about the article that I just wrote, actually, for the Grueling Truth. And by the way, before we get to the conference championship predictions, if this is your first time listening to the College Ball Show, it streams live right here on blogtalkradio.com/Rope-A-Dope Radio. Streams live right here at Archives. It's basically the headquarters. Under the Rope-A-Dope Radio podcast, the College Ball Show. We also have a football show, Vikings football show. We'll have a basketball show for college and whatnot later. Earlier next year, not later in the year, I suppose. We're pretty late in the year. It's almost December, isn't it? Anyway, you can find, the Rope-A-Dope Radio podcast everywhere. iTunes, Player FM, Spreaker, Stitcher, TuneIn, whole lot of different places. But if you don't do those, right, and you subscribe to something else, you can find us on the Grueling Truth Sports Podcast Network. That's right, the Grueling Truth Sports Podcast Network. They're available all over the place, including iHeartRadio. You can stream it on iHeartRadio, and also you can stream it on Spotify as well. Head on over to thegruelingtruth.net. That's thegruelingtruth.net. They got a great sponsor over there, mybookie.ag. Head on over to thegruelingtruth.net, listen to a podcast, read a prediction article by myself and others. And while you're at it, place a bet. It'll link you right to the website. It'll link you right to mybookie.ag. Sorry, I'm kind of struggling because I'm tired of shit, but that's okay, right? We're going to get through this. All right, so marquee matchups. Two of them I mentioned, Bama, Georgia, Oklahoma, and Texas. Let's start with the SEC, shall we? Is the SEC's not as good as it was probably 5 years ago for that 8 to 10 year stretch? Let's be honest. I mean, LSU is solid club. They don't got an offense. Georgia is solid. They're built on both sides of the ball. They run the you-know-what out of the ball. But who else is that great? A&M, is that a great team? I don't think so. So keep that in mind when we get later into the year. Or later, well, I guess it'd be, actually the games are before the end of the new year. I'm just rambling at this point. Number 1, Bama. Number 4, Georgia. Of course, the Crimson Tide and Bulldogs go head-to-head in this rematch from last year's national title game, and it was a good title game. It was definitely a good title game. Remember, Tua came in to help save the Crimson Tide. And, what's changed? A new year. Bama still looks every bit the part of the big bully on the block of college football, right? You could say, like, Georgia started the regular season relatively slow, but they managed to definitely kick it in high gear down the stretch. That's for sure. They have a chance to win, Georgia. A legit chance. What is it, a 13-point spread? Is it finally going to happen? Is Georgia going to be the team that, let's say they don't win, but they can sneak under, cover, as a dog, as an underdog? Because, man, that you look at some of these numbers with LSU and A&M and a couple of other games, you thought I thought LSU would sneak under the what the hell was it? I can't remember. Was it 18 points? Was it more than that? I can't remember. It was a couple of weeks ago. So they do have a legit chance, but they have to run the ball. They have a strong rushing attack with DeAndre Swift and Elijah. Who is it? Yeah, Holyfield. Holyfield's kid. And if, and it's a big if, because it's not like you just go, well, you know what, we'll just run against Bama. No problem, let's just run against Bama. It's not that easy, especially if you don't have a running quarterback. But speaking of the quarterback, Jake Fromm, he's got to make plays through the air. They're not just going to run and win. Sure, they could get some, crazy turnovers early in the game and be up 17-3 and then just grind it out. Maybe, sure, but you can't. Odds are that's not going to happen. I do think this will be a close, just say grind it out, style game, no doubt about it. But I think it'll open up a bit in the fourth quarter, and you'll see Bama pull away. I got Alabama 34, Georgia 23. Now, on to the other marquee matchup in the conference championship. This one pertains to the Big 12. Number 5 Oklahoma versus number 14 Texas. A rematch from earlier this year. It was back in October. Texas won 48-45, basically on the strength of their QB, Sam Ellinger, and also that kicker, that freshman kicker. I think it's Cameron Dicker. The kicker, Cameron Dicker. That just clicked right now. If you look at that game, Kyler Murray, who should be up for the Heisman. If he's not, it's a mishap, to say the least. He had a great game stats-wise, but he committed 2 costly turnovers that basically was the game. It basically was. My guess is Murray's going to be looking to redeem himself. But this game, because no one can play defense, this game comes down to which defense will make like a few plays, whether it's turnovers or just simply holding the opposing offense to a couple of field goals instead of just touchdowns. You know what I mean? So I really think whichever defense just does something, get in the way, like stop dropping rolls trying to make a tackle. Do whatever the hell you got. Just make a freaking tackle. What is it? 77.5? Holy cow! That's a heck of an over under. And I think it'll go over. In fact, take that to the window. Take that to the window. It's going over. Okay? Take that to the window. As far as some like a matchup under the radar, here's why I think this is a little under the radar. Number 6, Ohio State versus number 21, Northwestern. Northwestern, man, they really finished. They finished their season so strong. They finished with 8 wins. Okay, and they started the season 1-3, and in that stretch to get them to 8 wins, they only lost 1, and that was to Notre Dame. And by the way, Notre Dame's pretty good this year, if you hadn't noticed. The Wildcats they're not an easy out. They're well coached. They generally have experienced players that fit the system. On the other side of things, the Buckeyes, it took 11 games. Well, 12. What am I saying? It took the 12th game for the Buckeyes to finally play a complete game, like a team game, and actually show up on defense, which was ridiculous. I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God, this is a defense. They have a defense. Now here's the thing. I don't think, Northwestern doesn't, point blank, they don't have the firepower to stay, with the juggernaut like Ohio State's offense. Their firepower on offense, they just can't go tit for tat. It's like bringing a butter knife to a gunfight, and the gunfight is a bazooka. However, that's why they play the games, and that's why there's a thing called defense. And when you're dealing with youngsters, okay, think about it. Ohio State could enter this game hungover, still emotionally high. Like I said, from that great display last week, that's how they could lose. But I got it. Ohio State 37, Northwestern 27. And by the way, I didn't get my official pick. Oh my God, I just realized that Oklahoma, Texas. I didn't pick. Oklahoma 41, Texas 37. I got Ohio State 37, Northwestern 27. My upset special of the week is a minor one, but there's not many games that you can look at and go, yeah, I'm going to call that an upset. There's just not many. There's not 55 games like there normally is, so it's harder to find one. I'm just being honest. Number 25, Fresno State will make up for a tough loss from a couple of weeks ago as a slight underdog and get it done. Now, in that first game, though, with Boise State and Fresno, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, Boise State came from behind, pulled ahead. They just never looked back after that point. And it was crazy because Fresno State scored on their first possession of the third quarter, and that put them up 17-3. They were in control. I picked them to win. They were in control, but only to see that lead crumble. So we'll see what happens. I don't think they're going to let this one go. Now, against the spread, I will say the Georgia Bulldogs will finally be the team that covers as a 13-point underdog. As an underdog, they'll lose, but they're going to lose close. Okay? Another what could be a marquee game if the different teams were in there, but it's not. It's under the hardcore barn burner. This is a good game, though. Number 11 Washington versus number 17 Utah. So what if neither team has a chance to make noise on the national scene. This is a good game. This is a good game. And the style of the game will look a lot more like the SEC or the Big Ten rather than two teams only capable of playing one side of the ball. And yes, that is a direct shot right at the Big 12. I like Washington in the game. Utah, well coached and all that. Good players, good program. The program's been solid for a while now under the current coach. But to be honest with you, the quarterback situation kind of freaks me out. I'm not really sure exactly how that's, going to work. So I'm actually going to go Washington. I'm going to go Utah has overachieved this year. I got to give them a lot of credit. And then like I said, take it to the window. The Big 12 title game between Oklahoma and Texas will go over that 77 points. It's either 77 or 77 and a half. Either way, they're going over that thing. Okay, that's what this guy says. So, I'm gonna get out of here. It's pretty late at night. I think you guys probably appreciate a shorter show anyway. I promise you, on our next show, the co-host will be here. Marshall will be here. And by the way, I ended, for those still keeping track at home, I ended the year on a winning streak with the crafty pick. I did win the last two crafty picks, so I think I was like 8-4. 8-4 on the season. 7-5. We're gonna go with 8-4. I don't remember what it is. But had you put money on the things that I told you was gonna happen, you'd be up. And it's about 3-4 years in a row that you'd be up. I'm just saying. Okay, I'm just saying. So the college ball show will return. We're going to do one more show, then we'll take a little bit of a break, something like 10 days or something like that. We'll be back to kind of go over like the first way. It'll be like probably 2 weeks, actually. 10, 12 days, almost 2 weeks, because, we're not going to preview the garbage games, but some of those bowl games will be interesting. So we'll have some recap, that type of thing. We'll also, maybe we'll do some Heisman stuff as well. But then we'll be back to preview, the marquee top of the line bowls. We'll break all those down. And of course, whatever they may be, the two semifinal games that will be decided this weekend and Sunday before they kick the ball off in the NFL, we'll know who the top 4 teams for those national semifinalists were. So we'll take a gander at that. We'll kind of preview some stuff that kind of stands out. Like I said, we'll take a little break. Then we'll be back for a handful of shows all the way to the national title game. We'll have a post-national title game recap show where we review it all. And then for those interested, we start late August. We take it all the way till January. But then when that's done, when college football is done, the reason why we call it the college ball show is we go to college basketball. Okay, so mid-January, we'll hit the ground running right into college basketball. The college ball show turns to the college basketball. It will take that to the national title game. All right? So we'll see you guys next week. Well, I won't see you, but you'll hear me next week. Have yourself a great weekend. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving weekend. Peace.